Let's bring in Steve Peters from PHNX from ESPN. He's in Florida.
Coors Light six pack.
Buddy, I must start by saying I didn't realize until after a few days ago in Edmonton was our first time actually meeting, and I was way too casual about that. You came in during the show, sat next to me. I gave you a little tap on the shoulder. We had our conversation. Then you had to go. I didn't react nearly excitedly enough.
You know, for us spending both of us 3 days in Edmonton simultaneously to not have another meeting was really disappointing for me personally. So, DJ, yeah, I'm excited, thrilled, happy to meet you. I'm glad we had our moment. Just wish we had more. And after Game 4, I assume you joined in the honking, the party, the parade. I would assume you were right in it. I was on my way to the airport to catch a red eye.
Oh, wow. I would not have wanted to being on the streets was a lot of fun. I would have not wanted to be on the roads because a lot of people honking horns. A lot of people just had like reserve orange cars because during the day, I did not see people driving around orange cars. After the game, streets filled with orange cars, people beeping the horns. There was a fire truck. A fire truck was straight up celebrating. It was so unprofessional.
It's a first responder, first to respond to the victory.
Yes. But it was.
I had a big city moment though, DJ. So I was in a hurry because I had to catch a plane. So I'm going down the streets quickly, and you saw how crammed, like the streets are cramped. There was a young man wearing an Oiler jersey coming right at me. And I'm thinking streets of New York. I'm thinking, dude's going to knock me out. Like, I'm literally going, I'm getting knocked out. Like, this is it. Thanks. It's one of those random acts of violence. Dude just high-fiving me. He was just celebrating the win. And it scared I looked at the people I was with, and I said, I swear to God, I thought he was going to knock me out. In the streets of Edmonton, just flat out laid me out. I had the wrong colors on in the gangs of Edmonton. I don't know how it works there. But no, he was just celebrating along with everybody else. It was amazing, DJ. So I'm sorry we didn't get to catch up again. Are you going back for Game 6?
Game 7 in Florida. So keep that place warm for us. We will be there for that. But man, I knew as soon as you said there was a guy coming towards me, I was like, that guy wanted one thing and one thing only, and it was hand. He wanted your hand. They high five so much. Did you notice that? Everybody was high-fiving at a rate I'd never seen before. Cops, dogs, fucking Disney princesses. Everybody was just out high-fiving.
But the difference here, though, in all sincerity, like, I don't know what Boston was like for the Celtics and their march to the finals, but Edmonton felt like the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton, every storefront, our hotel clerks, everybody had jerseys on of the Edmonton Oilers. It was everywhere. You come to Florida again, no one gives a shit. Like, literally no one cares. I think I saw 2 T-shirts, maybe. Florida Panther T-shirts. It is just a disappointing vibe here, and I know it's spread out. It's Miami, it's Sunrise, it's Fort Lauderdale, and Edmonton just embraced it. I wanted to feel that, so I'm so glad that we got to see what that was like, and I see what it was like for them to win there. It was really cool. It was a cool experience. I don't want to go back. I don't. I'm sorry. It is a daunting travel day. I know what it's like to get from Boston to Edmonton, but from Fort Lauderdale to Edmonton, it's just you can't get there. You just can't get there.
How many layovers?
Well, it wasn't bad this time because that's why I took it. I was supposed to go to Nashville to Atlanta to here. This time the red eye was just Edmonton to Atlanta. However, you cleared customs in Atlanta. Have to get your check bag, go through customs, recheck your bag, go through security, and I had an hour and 10 minutes. I got to my gate and they were boarding group 4. It was a little tight, a little tighter than I would prefer. No bathroom break, no extra water, but I made it. I was at the beach by 10.
I wanted to ask you because I know that you were dreading the travel at the outset of the Stanley Cup Final, and I knew that heading into Game 4 with a potential sweep, you were rooting for it for the sake of travel. And I know that a lot of the writers and a lot of the media were probably rooting for a sweep. They're just
loudly.
Like, let's just fucking get this over with and let's go home. Yeah. How much fear was struck into your heart by the Edmonton Oilers and their dominant performance in Game 4 as to maybe that this will become a series?
It's interesting because Edmonton was so much better, and they did the things they needed to do to be better. And we talked about it several times on the show. We talked about Edmonton had to use their speed to beat the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers tight gaps. Edmonton had to get behind them, and they did it over and over. They had 10 scoring chances off the rush in Game 4. They had 13 in the first 3 combined. It wasn't even close. Like their ability to use their speed to get through the neutral and go through the middle of the ice was absolutely elite. I talked to some people at the Florida Panthers coaching staff, and I said, is there any concern? Do you have to change your game to handle that speed? Do you have to back off a little bit? And they said, we're not changing a thing. Playing the exact same way. And to me, it's like, like if Edmonton can get on their horse, chip off the wall, and just chip and chase, we may see the same thing. Like, and that's the fear. Like, the playoffs is about adjustments. Edmonton made adjustments. Their defensemen, the puck was on their stick on the breakouts. It was gone. Like, they fired it hard, rimmed it, like it was gone. They did not hold the puck. And Stuart Skinner started 3 of their 8 goals, started on his stick. Quick play. He didn't screw it up behind the net, made the play. He made the play, and he created 3 goals. So I think their defense getting rid of the puck quickly, that second player making a play off the wall, and it just was 2-on-1, 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 and Florida had no answer. Yes, they can do that again tonight. There's no question they can do it again tonight. That's Edmonton Oilers hockey. So now we're seeing Edmonton Oilers hockey versus Florida Panther hockey straight up. So who's going to be better? This series could be 2-2. Honestly, it could be 3-1 Edmonton right now, if not for Bobrovsky. So this is interesting. This could be a series. And someone on our plane yesterday said, and we almost threw her off the plane. She said, I want to see this go 7. I want to see it go 7.
Buddy.
I want to see the Edmonton, like, this is historic if Edmonton can come back and win.
I
agree.
I'm glad, by the way, that you said it could be 3-1 Edmonton, not because I feel that way, but because like 8 times on this show already, I assumed you felt that way and kept putting words in your mouth.
Yeah, no, but it is. It is, and it's Bobrovsky held him in. But here's the concern we bring about Bobrovsky. He's given up 5 goals 3 times now in the playoffs. He's 4-1 after a loss, and after giving up 5 in the other 2 games, it was 1 the next game and 2 the one after the Rangers. So again, can Bobrovsky be Bobrovsky again? He needs to give up 2 or less, 1, to win, 2, to be considered still in the Conn Smythe conversation, because if he gives up 3, 4, 5 again, it's going to start veering towards the orange and blue of Connor McDavid, especially if Connor McDavid puts up 2 or 3 more points tonight. So it's funny how Bobrovsky shoe in Conn Smythe, how that can shift. If Edmonton walks away with a win at all in any shape, 4-3, 2-1, whatever it is, I think you'll see that narrative start to shift on the Conn Smythe winner.
Petey, can you see the graphic that we have up right now?
I can.
This is him in Stanley Cup Final road games. Obviously, tonight is in Florida, but it just underscores how badly the Panthers should want to win this game, because in road games, the Panthers lose last 2 years on the road. But look at those numbers from Bobrovsky. They are stunning. That's not a hot and cold thing. That is he is bad on the road in the Stanley Cup Final.
Wow, those are horrific, and that's what when Connor McDavid said he wants to drag this battle back to Edmonton, and I think he's right. I think Edmonton has a belief right now. I was concerned that they were going to, I don't want to say roll over, because when Connor McDavid's in your locker room, you don't roll over, and he doesn't quit, and he's a believer, and I think he pulled everybody along with him in Game 4. But I was surprised that first 3 minutes, Florida hits 2 posts, almost had a 5-minute power play on the kneeing, almost, but they have a power play and 3 minutes in, 2 posts, and now they're down 1-0. You're like, oh shit, this feels different. And that roof on that building blew up. And you were there. Like, it was unbelievable. It was chills. When that arena starts singing the Canadian national anthem and everybody sings it, the only one better is probably Chicago, where they're cheering through it. But this is a close second. This was impressive. Edmonton can win, and I'm going to show you something right now. As I sat down here, I'm up in the press box area. I don't understand. This is in the seats.
Yes, we wanted to talk about that today. Yeah,
like, who's the fucking marketing genius there? So, let's put Game 6. Let's put Game 6 right in the middle of all the entire arena.
The number that they should fear more than anything is 6, and I think I get why they're doing it. They've leaned into the Panthers only have 6 fans thing, which is objectively wrong. And yeah, you came with a little bit of that energy off the top when you said I came back here and no one fucking cares. You were a little rude, a little disrespectful.
By the way, that's because Florida has other stuff to do. Edmonton literally has the Oilers. I love that for them. I love the community around the Oilers. But they'll admit it's not a travel destination for the most part, and that's the reason why they love the Oilers so much.
I'll tell you what, if the Oilers were in Florida, please, they'd go see the Oilers. They'd be like, yo, here we got Connor Brown. Yeah. No thank you, nightclub.
I want a question to you guys in the Commonwealth right now, in the hub. Okay. Your basketball team apparently won last night. I saw the score. It was not even close. They win a championship. Where is the team going today?
Miami.
Well,
Yeah.
they're coming here. They're coming
Yeah.
here. Like,
That's
do they
because
not
Matthew
have bars
Tkachuk
in
and Jason
Boston?
Tatum are friends. They're supporting
See?
each other.
And so here's the conspiracy theory. So is Matthew Tkachuk and Jason Tatum, are they planning a big night out in South Beach where they're both celebrating their championships? If they are, might be a little premature, and that concerns me. If they're planning the pre-party ahead of time with the Celtics and the Panthers on South Beach, we're going back to Edmonton.
I honestly, I don't think that that's the case, because if I was like a Celtics fan, a Celtics player, I'd be like, and I'm not Jason Tatum, I'd be like, why are we going so that we can hang out with your buddy? But also, I will say, like, if it does happen, the pictures of a simultaneous Stanley Cup and NBA title celebration will go so hard.
Whoever was the first one, if that is what's happening, and whoever was the first one to suggest that is the biggest asshole on the planet.
Yeah, oh
Like,
yeah,
if Jason
agreed.
You want
Tatum
to
hits up
share
Matthew
our
Tkachuk after game 2 and is like, we party in Miami
Buddy,
after
we're going.
5? That's crazy.
crazy behavior.
Crazy.
Not the craziest text Jason Tatum would have sent, but
True.
still.
True.
But man,
they have-
like if
they have
there's
former-
a Jalen X Bob
Oh my god!
like shirtless celebration pic.
Oh no, you're getting like
Dancing
big,
Bob?
No, dancing Eastern Europeans. Kristaps and,
Yes.
and Bob.
Yes.
I know Bob.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
The Tingus
Tingus
and South
Pingus,
Beach.
Tingus,
ex
Pingus, ex Bob.
entire Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
I'm
I'm in for that party. I will not be anywhere near that party again because I'm 56. I tried to go to the Elbow Room last night. Like I'm too old. Like I'm just too old for that. You guys, I assume, have been to the Elbow Room at one
I
point
love the
in
Elbow
your
Room.
illustrious careers. See,
Amazing.
I walked in and go, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, why am I here? Like this is,
Been
I'm looking Paul Bissonnette bouncing off the walls, and I'm just like, I gotta go. Like this is just, I gotta go find a quiet Irish pub, which is what.
It's
I do.
no.
But anyway,
My
Tootsie's
travel
Orchid Lounge is
vlog
at BB.
involves a lot.
it is no
of-
Tootsies.
And then
It is
I
no
left
Tootsies.
and got all dressed chips from the vending machine.
But
Like,
DJ,
that's-
did you go to
that's
Sherlock?
party.
DJ, did you make the pilgrimage to Sherlock Holmes in Edmonton?
No, I did not. I went to a few spots, but not there.
Kraft was right across the street. You were there. You were literally
Oh,
right there
yeah.
to the iconic Sherlock Holmes is the NHL stop of Edmonton. You were right across the street, and you missed it because I was in bed.
I
Or
will
on a
tell you
plane, I
what,
don't know where.
you were at the bubble. You were at the bubble, correct?
I was at the bubble. Yeah.
So my friend Pat there was one of like the 8 people that were in the building when the Lightning won the Stanley Cup because he was working in the building.
Wow.
And he was like, this oddly is not my first Stanley Cup Final game here recently. I was here for the Canadians and Lightning. I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing in the world. Imagine being in that like big old empty place.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah, it was a different experience. Edmonton was completely different then. We didn't have the celebrations and the Edmonton fans that we did this time. I do feel horrifically bad, DJ, that we did not get a chance to, our paths did not cross. And again, everybody got to remember, like everybody's working, like people have jobs, and it's not just like, hey, we're all going to go hang out. So maybe at the draft, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Maybe
since
say hi.
since starting What Chaos, any of these trips, I'll speak for all 3 of us, has been way more work than it's been, okay,
Sure.
I'm going to go show up to availability, dick around, and then we all get to go and have dinner and go for drinks or whatever. Like, basically, it's been, you go, you try to make something, then you edit that thing yourself and you spend
Yep.
time like working around the clock. So I'll tell you what, though, I think I said this on the show yesterday, a lot of the other quote unquote like makers and content creators out there were the same exact way. You'd stop at a place at the end of the night for like maybe one, and then everyone would just be talking about all the shit that they got to do. And
Gotta
like,
do,
no
yeah.
one unhappy to do it, but it's that grind set mentality. We're built
Yeah,
different.
it definitely was. I was so we would have to set time aside at the draft and at least talk about something maybe other than hockey. So
It's
where does
easy to
this
do
go?
in Vegas, though.
Oh, I'm ready. I don't know where I'm staying yet. Do you guys have your accommodations set with all
We're
stuff done?
We
We
might
won't
need
talk
about it on
to
air, but-
reallocate that budget
We have like
towards
some scraps left of our season budget, and we're deciding, maybe we use this on
How
a
to
Game
allocate
7 trip if it comes to that.
Oh.
So
Can you
Yeah.
can you explain the picture that you took with Paul Bissonnette the other day?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Bissonnette, former Coyote, former Coyote. So he just happened to be in our hotel lobby as we were walking out to dinner, and Paul just happened to be there. And it's funny because he's a guy that was able to he was one of the first players on Twitter. And we told the story last night. We reminded him of, he almost got benched over Twitter. We were at the Fairmont in Winnipeg. He took a picture of the water bottle for $8 and he said, "Are you fucking kidding me, Fairmont?" Tweeted it. Of course, the Fairmont called our travel guy and said, "What the fuck, you guys check in? We had 5 cases of free water when you check in. Like, we have Gatorade, we had sandwiches, like all for free. Like, what? Why did he do that to us?" And to the point now that the travel guy said that they were like, "If there's a real problem, you guys might have to find new accommodations." So went to the head coach. So Dave Tippett's talking to Paul Bissonnette before a game in Winnipeg. Biss never played. Like, let's face it, he sat with me in the video room more than he sat on the bench. But he had to get called into the principal's office and said, we didn't even know what Twitter was. I had to pull up the tweet on my computer, and he had to call him in and almost had to sit out the game. And that was how Paul Bissonnette started his Twitter. And that's when I first really became aware of the influence the players can have on Twitter. So we relived that story last night, and he's like, worked out pretty good, didn't it, Petey? And I go, "Oh, yeah, I guess you're doing just fine, Paul."
That's
amazing. Shout out Paul Bissonnette being the first NHL player to get benched for drinking water.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Water
being
staying hydrated.
It was the guy had a bad that guy when he got his water, man.
Not drinking water last night, though, DJ. He was not on the water train last night. I will say that.
That man is every place I went, I saw him. And hey, we're running into each other again thing just got immediately old because it was assumed everywhere I went he was going to be. And he's the best. We love him.
The energy he has, and he is on all the time. And everybody's coming up to him. It's never like, oh my God.
Yes, doesn't big time a single person.
Doesn't care. Nope. Talks to everybody. Mark Messier, PK Subban, and Ray Ferraro, also at the elbow room, back corner, security. We're not high-fiving everybody. Paul Bissonnette, everywhere. Like, bouncing off the walls, talking to every single human being. It was impressive. I don't know how he continually does it every day, but we'll see.
The fact that he's so cool to other podcasters is also very rad. Like, it would be fine that we all followed each other on Twitter or whatever. It'd be fine if he's like, "Oh yeah, I like Pete. He's that cool blogger." Or DJ. I think at one point he had a job or something. I don't really know, but whatever. I like those guys. They're cool. And now that we're like trying to kind of do a pretty similar job to him, he's even nicer to us, which is it's a not a lack of competition, but just either not taking us seriously, which is very possible. But I think he's just like the sweetest person.
Okay, I'm going to bring up one more story. We're not going to get in depth. We're not going to solve the world problems today. But Pete, there might be someone on the ESPN staff that knows you or knows of you, and it wasn't glowing. It wasn't a glowing report from Dave Jackson. Didn't have a lot of good things to say.
I'm very aware. I know that he is not a fan of me, and I will say that it is mutual.
Not a fan. I don't know. I think that Dave Jackson on the What Chaos may be actual that. It may be chaos because it was a profanity laden a little diatribe on Pete Blackburn, and I'm like, pretty good guy. Like, I don't know. So I didn't know the whole background, and now I
wouldn't be the first, won't be the last.
He can't come on. We don't swear on this show.
That's right.
There you go.
It is what it is. I just don't think that he's that great at his job. That's fine.
Yeah.
I saw on ESPN. I saw ESPN's Emily Kaplan, and I was carrying a huge bag, clearly from the Oilers team store, overflowing with shit. And she was like, "Is that stuff that you got for Pete?" And I was like, "Yes, Emily."
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. She's great. Emily is great.
She rocks. Yeah.
Not to steer the conversation back to hockey, but
back to hockey. Let's go.
We talked a little bit about the maturity of the Florida Panthers and kind of how they are able to bounce back. But what is it about the Edmonton Oilers that makes them so good when their backs are up against the wall? Because they've discussed that this week, and clearly their Game 4 performance was further evidence to that claim. It just seems like the bag boys, the flavor comes out when they sit in that hot water, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
bag boys.
We'll say this, though. I always think of them as just that high-end talent of a couple of players, and that's it. But no, this was a lunch pail team in Edmonton. Like, they did all of the little things right. I think they were physical. I think they moved the puck incredibly well. And it was the first time in this playoffs, I know Florida's lost a few big games. This was the first time where Florida looked lost. And that's hard to do. And we're talking Gustav Forsling and Barkov. Like, their good players were average, very average. And if you can make a team look like that, it was very impressive. The biggest thing in a series like this is belief. And Edmonton has it right now. And the seeds of doubt have been planted in Florida. If they walk away winning that one 3-2 or 2-1, Florida's like, okay, well, they gave up a goal. We are still the Florida Panthers. They got their ass kicked. Like, it wasn't close. Like, they got beat in all facets of the game. They still can't score on the power play. There are so many problems there. So now you start to go, uh-oh. Like, that shift in philosophy and thinking and momentum is huge, because now it's like Edmonton's not thinking of winning 4 straight. Edmonton's thinking about winning tonight. That's it. They're just thinking about winning tonight. They're not thinking about, hey, we got to string 4 together. We got to win tonight. And I think they now believe that they can. Skinner was outstanding. Like, that's the best performance he's turned in this playoffs. All of the little things they needed to do, they did. And now they know that they can do it. I mean, you guys joked about Knobloch saying, well, we know we can beat them. Well, now they know they can beat them. Mm-hmm. So I do think that's huge in the series.
So should Knobloch say after tonight's game, we've won the Stanley Cup?
Probably avoid that now, but maybe it works. I think
he just says a little early.
That's true.
A little early.
We know what the worst case scenario and outcome is for the Oilers. They have to watch the Florida Panthers celebrate the Stanley Cup on their home ice in Florida. But what is the worst case outcome for the Panthers in Game 5? Because we had the discussion yesterday about, like, would it be worse for them to get their ass kicked again in Game 5? Or would it be worse for them to lose like a Game 1 that the Oilers had, where they were the better team, but some shit just didn't go right for them? They had no puck luck, and they lost a game that they kind of deserved to win. Which would be more concerning for the Panthers heading back to Game 6?
I don't know if it's a score as much as how they lose. If they lose again at the hands of the speed of the Edmonton Oilers, and they lose in the same fashion with all those 2-on-1s and all of it, even if it's a 3-1 game, but they lose because of the speed of the Oilers, that's a concern. Because now Edmonton has shown our style of speed versus your style of defense. Well, we're going to win. Like, we are better at that style right now. So you guys are going to have to change. And Paul Maurice isn't changing. This is it. This is how Paul Maurice plays every single game, because he thinks in the long run, our defensive style will beat your offensive style. I think the key then is if Edmonton comes out, they get 2 goals off of the rush tonight and win 2-1, there is an incredible problem for Florida, because now they're going to have to look at, hey, we're going to have to keep the third forward high in the offensive zone now. We can't dive in and forecheck like we want to. Hey, the D are going to have to back up off the blue line, because we're going to have to accept that speed instead of holding the blue line trying to create turnovers. It changes fundamentally who the Florida Panthers are, and they can't do that on Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, you can't adjust your complete style of play this far into the season. So that's where I think the biggest concern is, not the score, but how they lose if they do lose.
I'll ask about special teams.
Oh, I was going to do that too.
I'll ask about special teams in a second. Pete will ask about special teams in a second. Although I really like the way that I would have phrased it. So
okay,
I'm going to text Pete my question about special teams, and he's going to ask it in a second. But it sounds like you think there's pressure on the Panthers.
Without a doubt. There's much more pressure on the Panthers now, especially at home, because everybody's saying, oh, well, they're back at home. They're going to win it in Game 5. Well, are they, though? They know that. They don't want to get on a goddamn plane and fly back to Canada. They don't. Like, this is daunting travel for them. Even though they're on a charter, it's hard. They don't want to go. There is so much pressure on them to perform at home, even though you go in the back of your head, oh, got 3 games to do this. No, you got to win tonight. Like, there is so much pressure on this team. In Edmonton, they're just going to follow Connor McDavid. He's going to do everything right. He's going to play the little details of the game in the correct way. And Edmonton they're going to go play. And you saw what the difference was to the Edmonton Oilers game when they just go out and play, where there was no pressure. Hey, we're down. Let's just go play. Florida's got to close us out. We don't. I think it's a huge, huge amount of pressure tonight for Florida. I am concerned about the Florida Panthers tonight.
Ooh-wee.
That was a perfect reel that he just did, by the way. Did you notice that? That was like a perfect reel. We don't have to touch that at all. It was great. No vocalized pauses. Clean.
It's not going to have any shelf life.
It's not going to have shelf life, but what are we going to do? Just fucking die because there's a game tonight? We're in the fucking content business. We got to churn shit out. Petey, excellent. Do you want to phrase? I can phrase it for you?
Or? I mean, you seem excited about the phrasing.
Do you think either of these penalty kills will end up leaking a drop, or has the power play been rendered moot unless it's the Oilers scoring on a Panthers power play?
Yeah, when you look at what the Oilers have done on the power play, they don't have the numbers they're accustomed to. However, they're getting the opportunities that they're accustomed to. Draisaitl's getting the shots from the area that he is accustomed to getting them from. He didn't early in the series. He is now. McDavid's getting opportunities. Nugent Hopkins has him off. Had a couple of shots great low in the zone. Hyman has kind of disappeared a little bit. But overall, the Edmonton Oilers power play is getting opportunities. Florida's is not. Edmonton does not allow that puck in the middle of the ice. They can't get the puck to Reinhart. They can't make the back play to Verhaeghe. There's just no way to get the puck from one side to the other against this Edmonton Oilers penalty kill. So when you look at these two power plays, Edmonton's still getting the chances. It's Bobrovsky that has been better. And game 4 wasn't. They did get a power play goal, but it was inconsequential, really, the little scrum in front of the net. So of the two power plays, Edmonton's has been much better. Of the penalty kills, Edmonton's has been much better. So I think they win the special teams battle again. If not for Bobrovsky in game 3, I think they get 2 or 3 power play goals in game 3. So the special teams is a huge story, but surprisingly, the Edmonton penalty kill has been as elite as their power play has been. They get the check mark on both sides of the special teams.
So you do think that's coming? Because I am not counting on the Oilers to score on the penalty kill. You said that Hyman's been rendered kind of useless. The Panthers sticks, I've said it a fucking billion times, and it's gone back and forth. Like game 2, they were a lot better at saying nothing's getting to the middle of the ice. A little more of it came in game 3, but I think I'm just kind of resigned to the Oilers might not score goals on the power play, and if they don't, isn't that kind of overish?
And they've been getting looks, like you mentioned, but Draisaitl is clearly off and is not scoring on and not executing on those looks that he would very much score on during the regular season. So, like, honestly, are we at the point where, like, it doesn't matter if they get looks, they might not score on them?
The concern here with Draisaitl, and we've talked about it here internally, I don't know if you saw that when you were there live, DJ, but there is a concern that there may be an injury there. I know Stanley Cup injury reporting is just, you're non-existent. There is some question about Leon Draisaitl's health and where he is at physically because
multiple
he is not
injuries.
Playing. Yeah, he's not playing to his abilities. I think on the power play, the only way they're going to succeed is when you see Connor McDavid coming behind the net and climbing that right circle. That seems to be the way they've been able to open up space, is when McDavid takes the puck. Like he said, we're going to play playground hockey. He gets the puck and he just skates around in a circle. And everybody chases him and shit opens up. That's what opened up for him in game 3 by him climbing that right circle. I anticipate that again, but you're looking at the Draisaitl shots. So over the last 3 games, he's had 3 shots from that spot. Not beating Bobrovsky because he's not getting the shot that he normally has. Like that shot, his release from that spot is money. He's just not getting it. So to your guys' point, yeah, I still think the power play has looked good. They're getting their looks, but I don't know if Draisaitl is if he's able to get the quick, hard shot off from that point that he's accustomed to getting through games 1 through 82.
Yeah, I was watching the points. I was like, do you put someone else there? It sounds
ridiculous.
It's hard.
But
that's what they did with Kane, right? Like Kane eventually had to sit out. Have we heard if Kane's playing tonight? I'm not. I'm just.
I have not seen anything, but he's in the kind of awkward. It's a healthy scratch, but he's hurt. But if he were just fucking playing better, he'd be playing hurt, which like Draisaitl's doing. It is more performance than anything else.
And you've started to see some of those other lines, like that second and third line, start to hit. So I may not mess with that if I'm Chris Knobloch for the sake of
I don't think he goes back in
when
tonight.
Healthy-ish has not been great.
But you know what, man? If you're like, there's been moments where you're like, damn, hey, Vladimir Tarasenko, wouldn't it be great to have one of those moments if you're the Oilers? If you're like, oh, Mr. Kane, thank you for joining us, because he's kind of moved himself onto that list. Not with like the Evan Rodriguez's that we talked about earlier, where it's like, who's going to be the guy that's going to break out, et cetera, et cetera. He would be, as Vladimir Tarasenko is, this fucking guy who's a dog the whole fucking postseason and then plays to their potential in one moment where it really counts, and you're just so frustrated as a fan of the other team. But I don't know if we're done seeing Evander Kane. It's all, I mean, who knows though? Maybe he is just so we've heard what he's playing through, and it's so bad that I understand why he would stink.
Kane skated with extras this morning, but Ryan Mashog said that he is doubtful for tonight. But clearly a step for him.
That sounds.
But that's it. Like you guys said though, like Holloway, Janmark, like it's other guys again. And believe me, McDavid carried the load. We got it. But there are those other guys in the lower part of the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers that were really good players and started to drive this offense. And if they get that, and that's one of the big question marks we had coming into the series with this Edmonton Oilers team, do they have the bottom six that can compete with a well-balanced four-line Florida attack? Well, the answer now is, yeah, they can. So I it's all these little things that are adding up to a whole lot of concern if you're a Florida Panthers fan. But I will say the same thing I said in games 3 and 4. This first period is massive. If the Florida Panthers can get out of this 0s or better, if you're tied or better after 1, Edmonton's going to have a tough hill to climb. If Edmonton can come out of the first period 1-0, look out. So, I like the Oilers.
I love how much you like the Oilers. My last question will be, why can't Edmonton score in Florida? Is it just Bob?
No, it's a line matchup. It's for sure. Like you're able to get Ekblad, Forsling, and Barkov out there against McDavid, and McDavid gets four points in the last game. And if you can contain him and his 4 points, you got Barkov coming from the back check, you got Forsling and Ekblad pushing him from this direction, you can quiet some of the noise that Connor McDavid makes. The line matchups are huge here, and that's the advantage Florida here, where they had to shuffle their lines. Everybody had to get a little piece of McDavid when they were back in Edmonton. You can target him a little more, and that's why I think that Edmonton needs to split up the great two again. I think they do need to split up Draisaitl and McDavid here in Florida, at least to the start. I get it when you get into a little bit different situations in the score, maybe tighter, maybe behind a goal, you have to match them up together again. I'd like to see them split up early in this game because I do think you need the 1-2 punch of those guys up the middle.
So if you like the Oilers, do you think the Oilers win tonight?
I don't. After all that, I really don't. I think Florida wins at home. I talked to their coaching staff this morning. They feel it's different today. Now it could be just bullshit. And of course, that's what you got to say. You don't say, no, we're scared and we're not going to win. I really believe, and I do think it's going to be Tkachuk. I think Tkachuk's going to be the key to tonight, whether it's physical, whether it's on the offensive side of the score sheet. I think Tkachuk makes the difference tonight. He hasn't done that yet to where you've gone, okay, he put the team on his back and carried him. I think tonight's that night. And I do think Bobrovsky responds better. I don't think he's giving up more than 2 goals tonight. If he can be Bobrovsky, I think this ends 3-1 for the Florida Panthers with an empty netter. That's what I'm going
The power of friendship. Matthew Tkachuk finally gets through after seeing Jason Tatum. If the Panthers win, who do you think gets Conn Smythe? Do you think it's Bobrovsky? Do you think it's Barkov? Or do you think McDavid gets it no matter what?
I think it's Bobrovsky if he lets up 2 or less. If it's 3 or more, it's Barkov. And I think for McDavid to win it, this has to go at least 6.
Yeah, I think it's Barkov, but I agree with the McDavid thing. It can't be in 5.
No, it can't be in 5. If it goes 6 or 7, even if they lose, it's McDavid.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
What do you think about the coaches? Because you obviously have had a lot of different coaches that you've played for or have worked for. I mean, Tocchet and not your words, but I think someone widely regarded as a pretty bad NHL coach in Wayne Gretzky. But you have like 2 very different kinds of coaches. Knobloch is very stoic, and we got Johnny Jokemaker in Florida. Like, what do you think about their coaching styles? How do you think these teams respond to these situations?
It's funny because they are the right coaches for the right team. And Paul Maurice is a guy, and again, I've asked players, I talked to OEL, Albrecht Larson, a long time about it. They love their coach and they believe in the system that they're playing. And that's a key. If a coach has a system and I'm not going to bring up names, and on another show, we'll do that after a few beers. There's guys that don't have a system. They just don't. Go play harder.
Dave Jackson,
when you
can say it.
When you hear a coach, when you see your coach come out and say, hey, just go play harder. Oh, look at that. Why didn't we do that earlier? I don't know who did that, but brilliant lighting guy. The lighting guy just showed up. But that kind of coach, and I think Paul Maurice believes in a system, teaches a system well. Players believe in him. I think he's a very good coach for that group. And I think with Knobloch, I think they needed a guy like Knobloch. Knobloch lets Connor McDavid be Connor McDavid. And I think there's too many coaches before that. Jay Woodcroft didn't do that. Jay was a very X's and O's technical. I like Jay. Jay's a teacher. You don't need to teach Connor McDavid. Jay Woodcroft was outstanding in the American League. The National League was a shift for him where he wanted to do maybe a little bit too much coaching. Chris Knobloch lets him play. and he lets the big guys play. And if you got a happy Connor McDavid, you got a really good Connor McDavid. So I think their styles are different, but they're appropriate for the teams that they're coaching. I think they got the right guys behind the bench on both teams. Again, though, when it comes to X's and O's, and I think it's just an experience thing, I do have to give the nod to Maurice. But he's a stubborn guy, and he's not changing right now. So it's interesting to watch the dynamic. I really want to see Paul Maurice win a Stanley Cup.
Do you like all of Paul Maurice's joking at press conferences?
I don't. I don't. I think you can do it once in a while. Now the jokes become a joke. I think it's too much. That's me personally. I think it's good to be light, and maybe one of those zingers every 3 press conferences is great. But now he's trying too hard. I don't. I think it's a little much.
It's going to be it's going to be the Paul Maurice Netflix special when they win the fucking cup and he gets his parade.
Yeah, it is. I'd rather see John Tortorella. Like that's the press conference I want to see.
You've met Paul Maurice, right?
Yes, I don't know him well. I've never worked for him.
Okay, so the first time I met him, I had to go to the hospital because he had this fucking thing in his hand that when I shook his hand, it was like an electrical current, and he was laughing like a hyena, and I was like, "Buddy, what are you doing?" And he said, and I was like, "Need a minute." I sat down, and there's like a fucking little, it's like a fart, it's like a red fart bag, and him and all his cronies were laughing their heads off. That's good unreal. Guys. It's a bad coaching staff they have there.
Making fun of you. Well, there's a video guy there, though. Jamie Compound, former video guy, will be his 3rd cup. One with LA, one with Chicago, and now potentially with Florida. So Jamie Compound, former video guy, the St. Louis Blues. We were compatriots at the same time. He is potentially going to win 3 Stanley Cups, and I'm talking to you guys.
Petey,
so who has a better life?
Tough break.
I do.
I
have a better life.
That's right.
No,
we love you so much.
This is way better.
Everybody loves you. They're always so happy when you join us. Thank you so much for coming on with us, as you always do. We will see you in Florida. And I would just like to say thank you. Thank you, Game 4, because it feels so good right now to be talking about hockey and the games instead of, I don't know about you, in between Games 3 and Game 4, I was having more conversations about Leon Draisaitl's contract and all of these, and like free agency with hockey people, because like that's what they want to talk about. I did not want to fucking talk about that shit. And right now we're still talking about the Cup final.
I'm a hockey guy. I'm not a numbers guy. Don't care. Draft. Haven't seen one player play. Don't know. I have not one game. I don't know. Celebrini, I heard, is the guy. But after that, can't even pronounce the name. So HK. Oh, Sean, have you told him about HK? We can do that. You do it off air. HK.
I don't know if I have. I don't use it as much
HK.
Without you. But
we are going to bring HK to the What Chaos show. HK.
It is one of my favorite terms.
Is that who I was going to say? I know that's going to be who cares.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah,
HK.
Who care?
But we'll get into the story on it at another time.
You're the
behind
best.
The scenes story.
Thanks,
guys. I really appreciate having me on.
If we don't end up using our travel budget for Florida or the draft, we're just going to use it to like bring you to Boston and hang out with
buddy,
us.
I'm in. Let's go to the hub, the Commonwealth. I'm in.
Yes, amazing.
We love you so much,
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
We all silly like the mayor.